6:17. Sun is still up, which is frankly something I should probably have as a recurring day-by-day lifting schedule occurrence. I've got a bad habit of becoming nocturnal. It's for no reason. Just staying up late and getting up later. Not awesome. Not awesome. It is much better to have a legit schedule. Plus, it's like you're not even waking up to your alarm. You're just waking up naturally at that time because it's like, your whole REM cycle is kind of in tune. So, getting to a point where you just like open your eyes at 6 o'clock, well rested, that's nice. That makes it much easier to balance doing all sorts of other fun shit in the daytime. So that's one thing I'm working on. You could call that a New Year's resolution, but I'm not going to wait until New Year's to start that. I'm talking about right now. But plan for tonight's lift. Very chill, very chill. This is not going to be incredibly stressful, at least not in terms of like my overall rate of systemic fatigue, because all I'm doing is shoulders, and not even front delts, just side and rear delts. When I'm dieting down, I do throw shoulders in sometimes because they're not growing. I mean, I'm eating in a calorie deficit. All I'm doing is maintaining the size and strength that I've already built up. That's kind of the whole point of a dieting phase. Right? Keep your muscle, but lose your fat. And then in a bulk, you gain fat, but you also gain muscle. Actually, I guess it'd be the other way around. Gain muscle and gain some fat. And then you just try to work around balancing that so you don't get too soft, or you don't lose too much size in your dieting phase. It is a little bit of a balancing act like that. But I could tell even on yesterday's leg day, I was feeling a little bit of residual quad fatigue from the last leg day I did, which also had really heavy 4 sets of really heavy leg press. Sorry, wait for the caffeine to kick into me. But I could feel that I was still kind of tender in the quads, even on that 4 days later. So I think that's a good cue for me to add a more relaxed day, like just shoulders in before chest tomorrow, just as a little bit of a buffer. And I would go so far as to call this, at least relative to like a leg day, I'd say this is pretty close to just what you'd probably call an active rest day. I mean, 6, maybe 7 sets of rear and side delts. It really doesn't add up to that much systemic fatigue. I'm not going to wake up dead from the shoulder pump that I'm about to get. And that's where, don't neglect to notice the fact that, like, not every lift that I do is an absolute, fucking knee crippler, right? Obviously, the leg days are probably the hardest. Those, if you could somehow, like, quantify the amount of damage and, trying to hold in my on there. If you could somehow quantify the amount of damage that lifts do, quads would be the biggest. I'd say chest and back are pretty even, just because, even though they're both, your back is way bigger, I can feel a little more tired after a chest day than after a back day, but they're probably even. Arms would be one level lower, and then shoulders would be even one level lower than that. So what that tells me is, like, sure, if I have one crazy leg day, I've got 3 more lifts in between of chest, back, and arms, where those lifts aren't so destructive, and I'm still on my way to being recovered to come back and really smash legs again. But especially being in a deficit, and I may have just done a little bit too much heavy work. I think I overloaded my recovery process by just doing too much quad damage. 4 sets of leg press with I think it was just about 12 plates, then 10 plates, and then last night was 9 plates on more of a hip press, so a little bit different than a regular leg press. I may have just added up a little. So today will just be shoulders, which I'm kind of excited for. I haven't really done shoulders for a while. I can't I can't really remember the last time I had like an insane balls to the wall shoulder workout. And the reason that is like they're just kind of they're overdeveloped. You know, they're physically rounder in diameter than my arms are, to the point where, I mean, I don't really need them to grow anymore. But since I'm dieting down, I'm not growing, I do get to hit them just because, just maintaining their size. And there is a little bit of an argument about you know, how your muscles look when you actively use them. I mean, a little more bro science-y, but like some I don't hear it as much now, but it's kind of old you know, old bodybuilder lingo, where the guys who train their abs harder when they're dieting down end up with, I mean, just tighter abs when they're way leaner, just from that active training. So really all that's to say is I'm just excited about a shoulder pump. Rear delts wise, I've got to go to. Frankly, I love heavy laying face pulls. And I don't think I didn't like watch a video of somebody do this. This might be a Sam original. But instead of standing up, leaning back, now you're fighting gravity, and every time you do a face pull, your whole body's moving. It just sucks. So flip yourself around 90 degrees, put a bench up to a cable as so, and then honestly, in this position, your rear delts are pretty strong. You've got some pretty decent leverages. So I'd say pick a weight which you can, you know, be challenged by, but don't go so heavy that you just start using your traps. Because if I sit here and if I try to do 2 plates on the side of this stack, I mean, I could probably move it, but now I'm just doing like an insane trap focused high row. Like, that's not the point. It may look like that, but all I want to do is feel rear delt squeezing. But honestly, I could see doing 6 here and then that'll be it. Frankly, I like a reverse pec deck, but this is, I'd say, my bread and butter of rear delt development. Okay. A few more. Yeah. 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 Ooh. Ooh. Yeah. Okay. Let's drop the weight. Too heavy. Okay. Okay. Yeah. Set it to a rear delt pec deck, and then start some side laterals of some variety. Frankly, I don't think you need to be too picky. It's all the same stuff at its basic level. Pec deck being used, but some single arm kind of face pullish, kind of half face pull, half like rotator cuff activator. But either way, full squeeze, more isolated though.
Okay. Either one more here, or reverse pec deck if it opens up. This is a good alternative. A little seated, bent over dumbbell. Okay. All right. Time for side delts. Packed. It's getting freaking packed in here, which is good. A lot of movement, but I was used to this gym being a little more empty. New Year's is gonna hit me like a brick. But plan for side delts. I mean, there's no magic to it. Frankly, whether I do double arm dumbbell, single arm cable, machine, if you simplify it down, it's just this. Now there's different strength curves and it feels a little different, but don't feel like you have to do a million side delt movements to have a good side delt pump. So let's just start with light-ish single arm extensions, or I guess raises leaned up against an incline bench. Just kind of, this just has more constant tension, but it's still the same thing. Just a side delt movement with a few extra steps. Oh my goodness. Okay. Two more. Okay. Okay. One more. Oh my god. Okay. This will be good. Not too heavy either. Honestly, the full stack is, let's just say, an amount of weight that might even hurt me. One more, maybe two more. Okay. Yeah, one more. And then let's finish with just some classic dumbbell roll. Okay. Yeah. Let's finish with some dumbbell. Then 511. Okay. Shoulders pumped. Let's go post down. Goodness. All right. Shoulders complete. Reasonably chill lift. I mean, good sets, but I'm not drenched like I would be after a really good chest day, or I mean, definitely not after a good leg day. I mean, the overall stress of that lift was basically incomparable. You know, only just a small muscle group. So let's see how they look up, or how they look overinflated, and then we can head back home and eat something. Get ready for a more serious lift tomorrow. Chest. And that's not to say I'm not taking my shoulder training seriously, but they're to the point where, I mean, like around, like even just sitting here doing like a little side chest, well, of course they're pumped, but so much rounder than my actual bicep tricep is, doesn't need more size, you know? They can stay just like this probably forever, and my arms will catch up and match them. So, you know, cool side, shoulders are almost done in a way, size-wise. The only negative is now I don't get to hit him as much, but that's okay. I can handle it. Definitely makes a front lat spread look extra freaky. And as I get leaner, my front lat spread will get crazier too, because what's going to happen is this gap between my shoulder muscle up here and my tricep is going to get much more defined. And this little kind of just divot will turn into a real sharp angle. So instead of just being kind of a, you know, the shape of a shoulder, it'll have a really strong separating kind of valley, which I mean, just looks fucking cool. Oh, oh, geez. Even just flexing my shoulders like that to pull them back is making them burn. But all that's to say, shoulders have been pumped to a satisfactory degree. And as I get leaner, shoulders, at least for me, get pretty freaky. Like I can see some now, like some kind of striations and stuff, even in like a, you know, like a side tricep. But they get much cooler as I get leaner. I'm talking like fibers from top to bottom. So once this kind of layer of fluff gets thinner, 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 freakier, 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 it's, you know, we get the inverse relationship. But let's scram. There we go. All right, the TikTok edits are coming back. I need another creative outlet. You know, I gotta, like, don't steal my template here, but basically record a couple sets of you going hard, add a couple chest poses or something to music, and then make the caption basically, you know, I don't judge my lifts off of progressive overload. I judge them off of the boom meter. Boo! You know, that kind of shit. You know, that's I think that's a good little way to go about it there. But yeah, I gotta get those going again. Those are just fun. I love those. But shoulders done. Now I just get to go home and really make this happen in terms of just
jumpstarting the recovery process. Because in the gym, you're not getting any bigger. Really, you're kind of breaking yourself down. I mean, that's the whole point. You know, you're doing muscular damage to be recovered from later. I mean, it's in the word right now. You don't need to be, you don't need to recover if you didn't do any damage in the gym to recover from. So that leads me into the next point here. It's like, dude, this is another little gripe that I have just on a personal note. When I see videos really like getting into, you know, well, you don't really need to train to failure. You can leave 3 reps in reserve and it's basically just as effective. Dude, I don't want to be the kind of lifter who has to leave 3 reps in reserve. You know what I'm saying? And frankly, I think the whole system of reps in reserve is a little bit flawed because it doesn't take into account the fact that you can physically only push yourself so hard. You know, it's a little different when it comes to really heavy sets. Like, I'm gonna get more out of 4 sets of leg press if I pick a weight where by 10 that last rep is pretty challenging, but maybe I could get 2 more. So with really heavy sets, I do see the appeal. You know, because what's going to be better? You know, 2 sets of you know, crazy heavy total failure weight of squats, or you know, 4 or 5 sets of you know, maybe kind of less intense workloads per se, but overall more work gets done. You know, so with really heavy sets, I do see the appeal, right? Especially with legs. But with everything else, I mean, if you're doing a, you know, more of an accessory movement like curls or push downs or something, and you're doing more than 12 reps, like you're not picking a weight where there's no possible way you can do another rep, like, you know, 8 reps. Nobody should be doing an 8 rep set of push downs anyway, or at least, you know, using that much weight. So it's like, okay, you're doing a 15 rep set. Obviously you can do a pretty decent amount of reps here. I think there's no benefit to trying to leave anything in the tank with most of your volume, you know, barring like really heavy stuff like that, because 4 sets of maybe 2 reps in reserve, or I like to be maybe a little closer to 1 rep in reserve leg press. Like I did in the last leg day, I didn't fail every set, but the last rep of every set was pretty challenging, to the point where I definitely couldn't get 3 more, but 1 more, you know, 1, 2 more maybe. Right, but that's for the benefit of being able to do multiple sets in a row. But for most of your workload, I really think it's such that the guy who pushes himself the hardest will go the furthest, you know, and give himself more than enough stimulation, and then he doesn't have to do 30 sets of quads, because by the time he finishes 6, his legs are already obliterated. Maybe he does 1 more like squeeze and kind of pump set of leg extensions at the end of it and then rolls, you know. So it's I think it's more of a question of just, I mean, as simple as it might sound, just intensity, you know. Because any time that there's a tip or kind of an approach to working out where it's take it easier on yourself, usually I don't see the appeal. I don't see the fucking magic that these guys are seeing. You know, it's every couple of weeks, maybe you need to take 2 weeks off to give yourself a full body reset. Every whenever you got to back off, it's like, yeah, sure. You know, there is a certain there's a time period for really hefty weight and pushing the envelope in terms of progressive overload. Like now that I'm dieting down, I don't need to try to lift as heavy as I ever could. But with weights within reason, I want to lift as hard as I can. You know, I don't want to just take it easy, because I think it just fucking takes away from the value of the training, you know. Because if you look to your left and you look to your right, and one guy is, you know, mild discomfort level training, and the other guy is fucking like actually making faces because he means it training, that guy's getting me way more amped. It's getting me more excited. I want to go hard. I want to match that intensity or exceed it. And it doesn't matter if the guy's 150 pounds. If somebody is fucking killing it for wherever they're at, then that's fucking exciting. You know, that's what I want to see. So it's, you know, maybe that's just a personal level, but it's a pattern which I've kind of come to recognize, you know, guys who fucking get legit results are capable of going the hardest, and they don't just back off from the slightest level of discomfort and difficulty. Be like, oh, this is getting hard. I gotta slow down. Oh, that's way too much. It's like, come on, there's no fun there. You know, it's kind of a value is at the end of the journey. You know, you got to fight the dragon before you get the gold at the end of it, kind of analogy. So that's my thoughts there, right? If I see a scrappy set, it just let's just say it does not make me particularly motivated, right? At least not externally. Now internally, in my mind, I can kind of flip it around and say, okay, like let's say I was in some kind of gym where a lot of scrappy sets going on, you know, more than normal, right? More than you'd expect from just general lifting populace. Like, oh man, nobody's fucking killing it right now. All right, I better bring it. And then, you know, go nuts on curls or tricep extensions or whatever else. So that's my thoughts there. And I've you know, we all know guys like that. I've said this a couple times. I'll say it again. There's usually someone at your gym where when they walk in, the vibe changes, right? The pressure in the air is a little bit different, you know, and it's not jaw-dropping. You know, I'm not talking like Jay Cutler walked into your gym in a prime 2002 look, and it's like, no, I'm not saying that kind of crazy, but guys where they kill it, and they kill it consistently enough where it's no longer a question that the guy is going to go hard. You know, it's you reach a sort of point, or that guy reaches a sort of point where, I mean, just like high ass fucking intensity locked in this, it's his baseline state, to the point where he's done it so many times and you've watched them do it so many times. That's exactly what you expect, you know? So why not try to apply that to yourself? When I was a chitlin, I'm talking year 1, 2 lifter, there's a guy in my gym, 280, but like not a bulked 280. I'm talking just like a regular, you know, normal body fat 280. Oh my God, total nutcase. At least in terms of like looks. As a guy, I mean, I'm sure he was pretty normal, right? But always serious, always training hard. I would never see him do a set where he was, you know, doing a single arm preacher and playing on his phone at the same time. That would be, it would be bizarre to see the guy do that. So, you know, even when I was only 170 or so doing a heavy cable preacher machine, which I don't know the exact brand of, but used to be a machine at that gym, which I still miss. Awesome squeeze. But, you know, even though I'm at my own level and the guy's fucking leaps and bounds ahead, I can still use that as motivation and say, okay, I gotta kill it on this set. Because no matter how big somebody is or how small somebody is, the subjective enjoyment of training hard, having a pump, leaving, it's pretty similar across the board. You know, if you attach some brain scanners to me now and to me 6 months into working out, and you know, I went through the process of a hard lift, fully pumped, did a pose down at the end of it, like, oh holy crap, my shoulders are way rounder than normal. Whoa. Or you know, back when I was doing like 175 pound like chest pump pose picture, the subjective enjoyment, it's the same shit. You know, you're bigger, but you're still, you know, getting that like excitement from the training, which, I mean, that's kind of a fucking highlight of my days. You know, I love it. So if your lifts are a little scrappier than you potentially think that you're capable of, then I really do think you're missing out, and you may need a little bit of self-reflection of just how hard you want to go, right? But also, like, you know, how hard can you go? Because as a beginner, half the value of coming in and working out isn't only the fact that you're getting new workout stimulus, you're also building experience. So when I look back at how I used to do 25 sets a day per body part, so I'd have a I'd have a 25 set chest day, I'd have a 25 set back day and arms and everything else. So every muscle group, like if I had arms, that was a 50 set workout. I do 25 sets of triceps, 25 sets of curls, Now, usually I'm looking back at that and I'm saying to myself, like, oh, why was I wasting my time? Why was I doing so much extra volume when I didn't really need to? I could have done a third of that much volume if they were, a little bit more intense sets and get the same gains, if not better. But I kind of just look over the fact that I got a really good amount of training experience earlier on. So maybe there is a little bit of a value in potentially doing some higher volume as a beginner, because it's not as easy to hit like true muscular failure because you're not used to exerting yourself like that, and you just get physically more practice benching, pull downs, using machines, actually starting to feel, pulling with your bicep and not just your forearm, or like pushing the bar with your hands. You can actually feel your chest pull your arm over. There is a certain value to just gaining training experience, which I don't think ever goes away. Because as you continue to progress, I'm a completely new lifter with totally different, maybe not different leverages. My skeletal system is still basically the same, but with more muscle on my frame. I've got to sort of approach different movements differently, so I don't work too much front delt and pressing, or I don't, work my forearms and doing a pull down. It really is a process to kind of keep up with the times of your own training. So as long as you can have pretty high intensity on the regular, maybe not, redlining it, but pretty close, right? Let's say you're like the Camry. The red starts at 6,200. Maybe keep it around 5,000. Right? Make sure you're really pushing it within reason on the regular. Build experience. Start to get a good mind-muscle connection. Before you know it, you're going to be sitting looking at old pictures of yourself when you were, 50 pounds lighter. That's in a little more of a serious case. I'm thinking, holy crap. Feels like just yesterday I was doing a pose down in my high school gym's weight room. So it's just fun to look back on. But I think plan now. Go eat, sleep, wake up early for some cardio tomorrow, and then I've got some chest. So with one extra day of rest as well, I'm really excited for chest tomorrow. I'm not exactly sure where I'll end up lifting, but I do know it'll be a good day. That's almost a fucking given. But that's all I got. So I'll see you for that lift tomorrow.